What if I told you the reason your manifestations aren't working isn't your desire, it's what you do right before you sleep? Most people think they need more affirmations, more effort, more control. But the truth? You're trying too hard at the wrong time. You go to bed stressed, overthinking, replaying problems, and then you wonder why nothing changes. Here's the hidden problem no one tells you. Your mind is most powerful at night, but you're feeding it fear instead of belief. And tonight, you're going to flip that. Not with something complicated, not with hours of effort, but with a simple shift that rewires your reality while you sleep. Stay with me, because what you're about to do tonight can change everything. Right before you fall asleep, something powerful happens that most people completely ignore. Your mind begins to shift into a different state, quiet, open, and incredibly receptive. The constant noise of the day starts fading away. The doubts that usually argue with you slow down. That inner voice that questions everything, it softens. And in that moment, your subconscious mind steps forward. This is the part of you that doesn't judge, doesn't filter, doesn't overthink. It simply absorbs. Think about that for a second. All day long, your conscious mind is busy analyzing, reacting, protecting you from risk. But at night, those defenses drop. You're no longer fighting your own thoughts. You're accepting them, and whatever you feed your mind in this state sinks deeper than at any other time. This is why you can watch something emotional before bed and still feel it the next morning. It's why worries at night feel heavier, more real, more intense. Because your mind isn't just thinking them, it's imprinting them. And here's where most people get it wrong. They go to sleep stressed, replaying problems, thinking about what went wrong, what could go wrong, what they don't have yet. They fall asleep in fear, and then wonder why they wake up in the same reality. What they don't realize is that their mind has been working all night, building more of that same emotional pattern. But the truth is, this exact moment before sleep is your biggest opportunity. It's like a doorway wide open where you can walk in any direction you choose. You can carry the weight of your day into sleep, or you can decide to drop it and replace it with something new. Because your subconscious doesn't care if it's real or imagined. It only responds to what feels real. So when you intentionally choose a thought, a feeling, a scene, and you hold on to it gently as you drift off, your mind begins to accept it as your new truth. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. And the more consistently you do this, the more natural it becomes. It stops feeling like effort and starts becoming your default state. You begin to fall asleep in calm instead of chaos, in belief instead of doubt, and slowly, almost quietly, your outer world begins to reflect that inner shift. Opportunities start appearing differently. Your reactions change. Your confidence feels more stable. And it all traces back to that one simple window of time, those few minutes before sleep when your mind is wide open. Most people overlook it because it seems too simple, too easy. But that's exactly why it works. There's no resistance, no struggle, just acceptance. And tonight, instead of letting your mind run on autopilot, you take control not by forcing, but by choosing. Choosing what you feel, choosing what you believe, choosing what you allow to settle into your mind. Because in that quiet moment, when everything slows down, you're not just falling asleep, you're programming the life you wake up to. Let's get real for a moment. Most people think they're trying to manifest something new, but in reality, they're just repeating the same emotional patterns over and over again. You wake up with a little hope, maybe even say a few positive things to yourself, but deep down the feeling hasn't changed. The same stress lingers, the same doubts whisper in the background. And by the time night comes, you've mentally replayed the same story you lived yesterday. That's not manifestation, that's repetition. Your mind doesn't create based on what you say you want, it creates based on what you consistently feel. And feelings come from repetition. Think about it like this. If every day you think nothing is working, even quietly, even subconsciously, your mind accepts that as your reality. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And the brain loves what's familiar, even if it hurts you. So instead of moving towards something new, you keep circling the same emotional state. Same frustration, same waiting, same lack. It's like pressing replay on a song you don't even like anymore, but you've heard it so many times that it feels normal, and this is exactly why people feel stuck. Not because they're incapable of change, but because they're unknowingly loyal to the version of themselves they've been repeating. Every thought, every reaction, every late night overthinking session, it all reinforces the same identity. And your identity is what shapes your reality. So, if you keep thinking like the person who doesn't have it yet, who's still waiting, still doubting, still trying, then your outer world has no reason to change. It's simply reflecting what you keep confirming internally. But here's the shift, and it's a powerful one. The moment you become aware of this pattern, you gain the ability to break it. You don't need to fight your thoughts or force yourself into fake positivity. You just need to interrupt the repetition. Catch yourself when you start going down that familiar path. Notice the feeling, and instead of letting it run, gently choose something different, a new thought, a new perspective, a new emotional tone. It won't feel natural at first because it's new, and your mind resists what's unfamiliar. But that's actually a good sign. It means you're stepping outside the old loop. And the more you do this, the more you weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. Over time, what once felt fake starts to feel normal. What once felt forced starts to feel automatic. And suddenly, you're no longer repeating the old version of your life, you're building a new one. Not through effort, but through consistency. Because repetition is powerful, it can either trap you or transform you. And tonight, you make a quiet decision. You stop rehearsing the life you don't want, and you start repeating the feeling of the life you do. Here's something that might feel uncomfortable at first, but it's the truth most people avoid. The more you try to control everything, the more you slow everything down. It feels logical, right? If you want something badly, you should think about it more, plan it more, check for signs, make sure it's working. But that constant checking, that constant need to figure it out, isn't control. It's fear in disguise. It's the quiet belief that if you don't stay on top of it, it might fall apart. And your mind picks up on that instantly. Because control doesn't feel like certainty. It feels like tension. It feels like something is missing, something is not done yet. So instead of sending a signal of trust, you keep reinforcing a signal of lack. You keep telling your mind, it's not here yet, I need to do more, I need to fix this, and your subconscious listens, not to your words, but to your energy. Think about the moments in your life when things actually flowed, when something worked out without you forcing it, when an opportunity showed up at the right time, when things just felt easy. In those moments, you weren't gripping tightly, you weren't overanalyzing every detail. You were relaxed, you were open, you trusted, even if you didn't realize it. That's the state where manifestation moves fastest. Not when you're trying to control every step, but when you're aligned with the outcome and detached from the process. And that's the part most people struggle with. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop clinging. It means you stop needing constant proof. It means you allow space for things to come together in ways you can't predict. Because the truth is, you don't need to know how it's going to happen. You just need to be in a state that matches it already being done. And that state doesn't feel desperate. It feels calm. It feels settled. It feels like something that already belongs to you. But when you're constantly checking, questioning, forcing timelines, comparing, worrying, you pull yourself out of that state. You go from its mind to where is it? And that shift alone changes everything. So tonight, instead of trying to control the outcome, you practice something different. You release the timeline. You stop chasing the how. You let your mind rest in the feeling that it's already handled. Not because you've seen proof yet, but because you've decided it's done. And yes, your mind might try to pull you back into control. It might whisper doubts, ask questions, create scenarios. That's okay. You don't fight it. You simply don't follow it. You return to that calm state again and again until it becomes familiar. Because real power isn't in forcing reality to change. It's in becoming someone who no longer needs to force it. And when you reach that point, when you stop gripping so tightly, when you stop trying to control every outcome, you'll notice something shift. Things begin to move, not because you pushed them, but because you finally got out of the way. Here's where everything changes, and most people miss it completely. You don't manifest by thinking harder, you manifest by feeling differently. That's the shift. Because your mind can repeat words all day long, but if the feeling behind them doesn't match, nothing truly sticks. You can say it's already mine 100 times, but if inside you feel anxious, doubtful, or like you're still waiting, your subconscious listens to the feeling, not the words. And your subconscious is what creates your reality. So the real question isn't what are you saying, it's what are you feeling right now? Because that feeling is the signal you're sending. And most people, without realizing it, are stuck in the feeling of not having it yet. They imagine their desire, but they do it from a place of distance, like it's still out there somewhere. They visualize the process, the struggle, the waiting, and that just keeps reinforcing the same gap between them and what they want. But tonight, you're going to do something different. You're not going to think about how it's going to happen. You're going straight to the end. You step into the version of you who already has it. Not someday, not later, right now. And you ask yourself, how does that feel? Not what does it look like, what does it feel like? Is it relief? Is it peace? Is it quiet confidence? Maybe it's that deep breath you take when something finally works out. That subtle smile, that sense of it's done, and you stay there. You let that feeling fill your body, even if it feels unfamiliar at first. Because your mind doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something real, it only responds to the emotional experience. That's why memories can make you feel things instantly, even if they happened years ago. The emotion brings it to life, and you can use that same power right now. You don't need perfect visualization skills, you don't need a detailed mental movie, you just need the essence of the feeling. Even a few seconds of genuine emotion is more powerful than hours of empty repetition. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. That feeling starts to come naturally. It becomes familiar. And once something feels familiar, your mind begins to accept it as normal. And what's normal becomes your reality. But here's the key. You don't force the feeling. You don't chase it. You allow it, gently. Like slipping into a warm space where everything is already okay. No tension, no effort, just presence. And if your mind drifts, that's okay. You simply return to the feeling again. Because every time you do, you're training your mind to live in that state. And that state is what shapes everything. So tonight, as you lie down, don't focus on what's missing. Don't replay what went wrong. Go straight to the moment where it's already worked out. Feel it. Sit in it. Let it become real to you. Because once your mind accepts it as real on the inside, it has no choice but to reflect it on the outside. Let's clear something up. You don't need the perfect method to manifest. You need a simple one you'll actually follow. Because perfection sounds good in theory, but in reality it creates pressure. It makes you feel like you're always doing it wrong, always missing a step, always needing more. And that feeling alone pulls you out of alignment. You start questioning everything. Am I visualizing correctly? Should I say more affirmations? Is this the right technique? And suddenly, what was supposed to feel natural turns into something heavy and exhausting. That's the trap. Perfection keeps you stuck in your head. Simplicity brings you back into your power. The truth is, your mind doesn't need complexity to accept something as real. It responds to clarity and consistency. One clear thought, felt deeply, repeated gently, is far more powerful than 10 different techniques done with doubt. Think about anything you've learned in life. It wasn't the complicated things that stuck. It was the simple ones you repeated over time. The same rule applies here. When you keep it simple, you remove resistance, you stop overthinking, you allow your mind to relax into the idea instead of trying to force it, and relaxation is where acceptance happens. Most people sabotage themselves because they're chasing perfection. They keep switching methods, watching more videos, searching for that one secret that will finally make it work. But the secret is this. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less, but with more presence. When you simplify the process, you make it easier for your subconscious to absorb it. You're no longer overwhelming your mind with too many instructions. You're giving it one clear direction, and your mind loves clarity. It knows what to focus on. It knows what to build. So tonight, instead of trying to follow a perfect routine, you choose one thing, one thought, one feeling. Maybe it's a simple sentence that represents your desire. Maybe it's a quiet sense of relief, like everything has already worked out. You don't analyze it, you don't try to make it perfect. You just sit with it, you let it be enough. And that's where the shift happens, when you finally stop trying so hard to get it right and start allowing it to be easy. Because manifestation isn't a performance, it's a state. And states don't come from effort, they come from alignment. The simpler your approach, the easier it is to stay in that state. And the easier it is to stay there, the faster it becomes your new normal. So let go of the pressure to do everything perfectly. Let go of the need to understand every detail. Trust that one simple, consistent practice is enough to change everything. Because in the end, it's not the complexity of what you do that creates results. It's the consistency of how you feel. Tonight isn't just another night. It's a decision point. A quiet moment where everything can start to shift, not because something outside of you changes, but because you do. Most people keep waiting for the perfect time, tomorrow, next week, when they feel more ready, more confident, more certain. But that moment never really comes. Because change doesn't begin with certainty. It begins with a choice. And tonight, you have that choice in front of you. You can go to sleep the same way you always do, replaying the same thoughts, carrying the same stress, waking up to the same patterns. Or you can decide that this is where the old version of you stops, and something new begins. It doesn't require a big dramatic action. It doesn't require you to feel 100% different instantly. It just requires a shift in direction, a small, intentional move away from what's been keeping you stuck. Because the truth is, your life doesn't change all at once. It changes in moments like this. Quiet moments, invisible moments, the ones no one sees, where you choose a new thought instead of an old one, a new feeling instead of a familiar one, and those moments add up. They compound, they slowly rewrite the way you see yourself and the way you show up in the world. Tonight is one of those moments. It's not about proving anything. It's not about forcing results. It's about deciding that you're done living on autopilot, done letting your past patterns run the show, done repeating the same emotional cycles that keep you in the same place. And once you make that decision, even quietly, something shifts inside you. You start to feel a sense of control, not over everything outside, but over what actually matters, your inner state. And that's where all real change begins. Because when your inner state changes, your reactions change, your choices change, your energy changes, and eventually your reality has no choice but to follow. But it all starts here, tonight. Not with pressure, not with expectation, but with awareness, with presence. With a simple commitment to yourself that you're going to do this differently now. That when you lay your head down, you're not going to drift into the same old patterns. You're going to guide your mind gently toward something better, toward a feeling that supports the life you actually want. And even if it feels small, even if it feels subtle, it matters more than you think. Because every time you choose differently, you break a piece of the old pattern. And the more you break, the weaker it becomes, until one day it's no longer your default. And that's when everything changes. Not because something magical happened overnight, but because you became someone new, one night at a time. So don't underestimate this moment. Don't brush it off like it's just another routine. This is where the shift begins. This is where you stop waiting and start creating. And when you wake up tomorrow, it won't just be another day, it will be the first day of a new direction. Everything you've been looking for isn't far away. It's waiting for alignment. Not more effort, not more struggle. Just the right state, at the right moment. Tonight, you stop overthinking. You stop forcing. You stop repeating the old story. And you choose something new. because the version of you who already has it is only one feeling away. So when you close your eyes tonight, ask yourself, what reality am I about to build?